Hello. Today I want to talk about a new feature that we're working on. Serverless functions, or function as a service, or Lambda, or Cloud Run, or Edge function. There's many names for this, but the idea that you deploy some code that works as a function, and we can either call that using a REST service or a message queue, and therefore simplify both the deployment process and how we scale it and what we can do with it. Usually those goes in two categories. There's those that only support one language, typically Python or Node.js, and those that support any programming language. So since that's our stick and we love supporting multiple languages, of course our serverless functions also support multiple different languages. One of the downsides of that is usually there needs to be a real virtual machine started in order to run that code, and that makes it slow. So having cold boot times of 2, 4, maybe 600 milliseconds is not unheard of, which is fine if all you do is call a REST service, let's say 10 times a day. But let's say that you are running a website. That's going to be really annoying, right? So we wanted to create something that is just as fast as the fastest serverless functions out there, so it can be used as a backend for a website, but that also supports any language that you want. At the same time, the reason we actually started doing this was to fix a completely different issue. The issue is that when you have agents running remotely, so at a branch office or at a customer site or wherever you might be running remote agents, those agents needed to have all the dependencies pre-installed. The agent wouldn't take care of that. So if you wrote .NET, you need to have .NET installed. If you're working with Python, you need to have Python and maybe Conda or Micromamba installed. If you wanted to work with PHP, you had to have Composer pre-installed. Like, there was things that you need to do, and especially if you're working in environments where you don't have full control. Let's say an agent running as at a customer site and you don't have admin access on the server. We wanted to fix that. So think of this like containers in Docker, where everything is contained inside one file and all the dependencies and everything is there, so it works no matter where you want to run it. If Docker is installed, it works. We are doing the same thing, except we are doing it with unikernels. And because we are doing that, we don't even need virtualization enabled. That means Docker doesn't need to be installed. You don't have to have, Podman or something else. You just install the agent, and no matter what operating system you install it on, it will just work. Of course, if you don't have virtualization enabled, it will be slow because it's using the CPU, but it will work. And that is super powerful. We believe this is a cool feature because we can now run code in any language that we want anywhere without having any dependencies on where you're running it. Of course, it's virtualized. There can be a couple of drawbacks to that, but we think the benefits overshine the downside of having a little bit slower startup times when running remotely. We really want more people to test this, so when we finally launch it, we have tested it in so many different scenarios that hopefully there will not be too many issues. So if you are willing to live with a couple of bugs and be an early alpha tester, we would love to hear from you and help you try and set this up and get feedback on what works, what doesn't work, what is missing, what is not user friendly, and so on. So please, if you are interested in serverless functions, either for the cloud, for let's say hosting websites or running cron jobs, or if you're interested in having a more contained way of running packages on remote agents, please reach out either on LinkedIn, mail, forum, whatever. We would love to hear from you. And until then, thank you very much.